We talked about this a little bit on the full episode of the Sleepers podcast, but after having a night to sleep on it and watching the internet react to it, we wanted to have a separate, drawn out conversation on this. The AP poll dropped and Purdue dropped with it from number one to number two. The Boilermakers, without losing a game, starting the season 2-0, have dropped one spot behind the Houston Cougars, who, as Kevin Sweeney notes on Twitter yesterday, have not looked good. Houston has not covered in either of their games and was up 5 against Towson late in the game. So strange to say the least, not unprecedented, but it is pretty rare to see a change atop a poll after 1 week of the season simply off of style points. Usually going 2-0 is enough. It's not like they beat Oakland on a buzzer beater here. Without an All-American, Purdue has dropped a spot after beating Oakland by 10, I guess because people are concerned. Now, we've talked about concerns. I am concerned about certain things with this Purdue team, so I don't want to act like it's that insane. However, the funny, unique, rare part that makes this worth discussing to me is this. Purdue finished 3 points behind Houston in total points while having 36 first place votes comparatively to Houston's 18 first place votes. So double the amount of voters here believe Purdue is better than Houston and number one. However, the non-Purdue first place votes, which I believe there were 25 of, must have dropped Purdue a lot lower than number two, which is a fair take, I guess you could say. Specifically, if you look through some of these ballots, CJ Moore dropped them to 8th. There was a different, I think there was a reporter named Mia. I forget her last name right now. She dropped Purdue all the way to 10th in the poll through 1 week. It really was Kevin Sweeney leading the charge on how ridiculous this was. At CBB_Central is where you can find Sweeney's full thoughts. Highly encourage you, of course, to follow Kevin Sweeney, friend of the program. But he was going back and forth with Goodman yesterday. This was Sweeney's thoughts. He said voters overreact to Purdue struggling without a top 10 player in Trey Kaufman-Renn and instead bump up Houston, who is 0-2 against the spread in its 2 opening bye games. LOL. Houston was in a 5-point game with under 10 minutes to go against Towson, but the voters were out doing their jobs covering football games and didn't notice that. They did notice Purdue's game, apparently. Very smart and good system. Some snark from Sweeney on the timeline. Goodman Hoops got involved and said, I really don't think this is worth getting all worked up, Sweeney. Go touch some grass. To which Sweeney replied, you updated your top 25 after 2 days, Goodman. The grass is there for you, too. Spice on the timeline, Cart, from a couple friends in the program. How do you feel about all of this?
Well, what's that one meme from the movie? I think it's DiCaprio, where he's sitting on the couch in a recliner, and he like points at the TV when like he notices himself. You know that meme?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's us with AP voters. They're over here overreacting. That's our bag. That's usually supposed to be our thing. They're just like us. I didn't realize that. Um, no, I'm kind of on the side of Sweeney on this one. I do think it is a little bit of an overreaction. Has Purdue not looked like the number one team in the country so far? I think it's fair to say yes. They're also missing a first team All-American, and they also still won. And if you're going to put a team ahead of them, Houston being that team who I think has struggled in their own right in the first couple games as well, is an odd choice to say the least. So, um, and with all due respect, dropping them to like 8th or 10th is just, I think, just wrong. Like that's crazy to me. That makes absolutely no sense to me.
We dropped them to 6th. It's not that far off.
I didn't think we did it right either. I regretted it immediately the day after. Like we put Houston 1 too. I don't know who is pulling the strings over at Sleepers Media, but those two idiots are stupid. That's what you get on Sunday night recordings. But yeah, I don't know. I'm Team Sweeney on this one. Outside of like Sweeney needing to change his Twitter name, which I've told him a million times. So
I
go
kind
follow Sweeney and then tell them to change the CBB Central thing.
CBB Central's iconic at this
It,
point.
it, it stinks. It
Oh,
really
it's
stinks.
like G Wizzy. Like, should I, as a 32-year-old man, move on from G Wizzy? Yes, objectively I should. But will I? No, because it's iconic. It was created when I was 18 years old. Like, it's gonna stay. You know?
I mean, but his name is Sweeney
What was your old Twitter name? Brody CA?
at the Brody_CA. And then Jeff Goodman's like, if you're gonna be in this space, you can't have a name that's at the Brody CA when it's popping up on the bottom ticker.
Pretty good advice, to be honest.
Yeah. I think during that time I did hit him with a shut up old man. But then I was like, yeah, you're probably right, Goody.
Yeah, pretty good advice. So I think I said this in the pod yesterday, but to me, if you and this is self-criticism because we also put Houston one, so I get it. I feel like the more logical change after sleeping on it is if you were going to move anyone up to one, you'd have to say it's Arizona
Hmm.
after what they did to Florida. That was just the most impressive performance I think we've seen. But it's also a little crazy to move Arizona that high. We put them second. And I think people were like, wow, that's really high. But if I could go back and do ours differently, I would put Arizona one and Houston two and move off of that. The reality is both Houston and UConn, kind of the teams that would be next up in line to jump over Purdue, have also been disappointing. UConn was really disappointing without Terrace Reed, similar to Purdue without TKR. Houston's been at full strength and hasn't been blowing teams out, hasn't been exceeding expectations on the spread. I don't think you should rank people in polls based on spread performance. It's not betting. Like you really should not need to cover by 30 in order to move up or down the poll. But it's at least a data point early in the season on like how impressive is the eye test with these teams. For me, the hard part that I really disagree with here is just dropping them all the way to 10. And I know it was only one person, but it definitely like affected this poll. If one person or two people who rank Purdue 8th and 10th have them 4th instead, they're probably still ahead of Houston, given that the majority of voters still had Purdue at 1. I can see the panic. I strongly disagree with it. I don't think it's smart to judge a team that much without an All American. If they still look like this with Trey Kaufman-Renn, then I will have no problem dropping them. With that said, have you noticed what I've noticed about the way this was received in general?
No, what?
Purdue fans are being overwhelmingly rational about this.
Really?
I mean, I would have thought Purdue goes 2-0 without Trey Kaufman-Renn and drops out of first in the AP poll, something that was definitely a point of pride for this program. I would have thought there would have been some outrage from Purdue people. I haven't seen any of that. Maybe I'm just not in the right circles for it or not finding it. But have you noticed that?
Now that I think about it, like just like from our Discord conversation in there, it's kind of like, yeah, we haven't really looked the best and we don't have TKR. And it's also like a long season, dropping the two from one. I don't know. Maybe it's a sign of, I think we pointed this out before, it's a sign of maybe a healthy program. Like before, it was, I want this so bad. I want to be number one. But maybe it's more so like we got bigger picture goals in mind. We don't have TKR. It makes sense. I mean, shit, we even pointed it out at Fletcher in the post-game press conference. He's like, I mean, we don't look like the number one team right now. Like the
Yeah.
number one team does not beat Oakland by 10 points. You don't really hear players say that. And it's kind of truthful.
Braden shared a lot of those sentiments with us in the first episode of Running Point. He was kind of just like, "Yeah, stuff doesn't matter. I'm serious. It doesn't matter."
Mhm.
So I think that's true, and that leads me to my grand conclusion from all of this. I think it's going to actually really mentally, emotionally benefit this Purdue basketball team to not be number one. I
Really? How so?
think they're going to feel a little freed up. Now, I'm not saying the weight of number one hung over this team, but I think this group of people, and we obviously know Braden Smith. I like to think I can understand Fletcher Lawyer and Trey Kaufman-Renn from the outside without having known them personally. I think I can make some judgments on CJ Cox and Jakari and even an Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobson. My interpretation of these personalities and who these people are is that they will do a lot better being the underdog than they will being the favorite. I think they were the favorite last year and it didn't help them. I think Zach Edey was a guy who could kind of shoulder, oh, yeah, we're the favorite and we're going to eat you. But I think this group of people will be a lot better being the hunter and not the hunted. It's been the story of Braden's career, right? I've been overlooked. Nobody sees me. Fletcher Lawyer, similar. TKR, like I redshirted. I came from humble beginnings. Oscar Clough was a mid-major guy. No one on this team is like the front runner. Let's take off the front runner expectations. And I know, like Grandly, it's still national title or bust. They said that all summer.
Well, we're talking about the number 2 team in the country right now, right?
Right, but I think the point is this: in the offseason, it felt like they knew they had to play a character on that. Right? I don't think it's all that natural for anyone involved, human being wise, in this program right now, to be like looking cameras in the eyes, like, yeah, we're number one. And I think if they can just take a small step back from that, even just to number two, it might let them breathe a little bit.
I, listen, some people operate better when they are underdogs. I think I don't know how to do that because like I'm like a front runner. Like I want to be in the spot where I'm like at the top and just operate that way. If I'm an underdog, I just kind of accept it and like I'll be an underdog forever.
I I am a front runner. It's just a crazy quote.
I am.